Hey, what's up? This is Seth Green, and you are listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark, and I am so hot, I would desperately like a glass of water. Please, please, give me some water.
This is Cindy Preston, and I'm with Mark on Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Melissa Peterman from CMT's The Singing Bee and the television show Reba. And I have to tell you, I just have to get it off my chest, I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi there. This is Faith Roscoe from General Hospital. You're listening to Mark on Somewhere in Vegas. And you better watch out. We know how to find you if you're not listening.
Hi, this is Shannon Egan from Whippet, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hey, this is Lee Allen Baker with Somewhere in Vegas, talking with Mark with a Q.
This is Courtney Cronin. You're listening to Somewhere in Vegas with your host, Mark, and I would make sure to listen every week because he's a sure bet.
Hey, this is the Money Man, Eddie Money. I got 2 tickets to Paradise, and it's, you know what? It's Somewhere in Vegas. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Hi, this is Crystal Gale, and I love Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Terry Nunn from Berlin, and you're listening to Mark Somewhere in Vegas.
Hi, this is Miracle Laurie from Joss Whedon's Dollhouse. There are 3 flowers in a vase, and I'm listening to Somewhere in Vegas with Mark.
Hi, this is Erin Hill, and you are listening to Mark on Blog Talk Radio and Somewhere in Vegas. Mark is a great guy.
Hi, this is Sean Pulaski. I'm still trying to figure out Mark Pico's sexuality, but I know you're listening to Somewhere Live in Vegas.
Here you go, Mark. I'm sorry. I thought you were she. I'm sorry. Get out of the tent. Let's get out of here.
Hey, this is Lance and Anna from Free Radio. And Anna?
And you're listening to Somewhere in Vegas.
Yes.
My favorite.
You know, that's usually what happens with me. I go to Vegas and I get lost, and so I end up somewhere in Vegas.
Somewhere in Vegas.
But I just don't know where it is.
Not quite sure.
Yeah, word.
Get ready. It's going to be hot. It's in Vegas. Check out Mark. Be there or be square.
My guest at this time has a new single out called Grace, and his new album just dropped. It's called Never Knew the Night. Very talented musician. Simon Lunche is here with us right now. How you doing, Simon?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing so good. Good.
How's it going on in the Bay Area right now?
You know, the past few months have been pretty crazy with the fires. I mean, there were a few days there where, you know, the air quality was up past the 200s and it was hard to even see anything, which was crazy. Thankfully, that has died down quite a bit. And the past few weeks have been, you know, it's not as great as it usually is, but you can breathe and it doesn't, you know, smell like you're inhaling a cigarette every time you step outside. So for the most part, it's been the Bay Area that I know and love, and it's been really good.
I know we were getting some of that smoke from you guys as well up here in Vegas. So yeah, I can perfectly understand as well. It's kind of cleared up a bit. I know it's cooling out here right now. I mean, how's the weather out there in San Francisco?
It's actually warm today. It's like almost 90 degrees today. I think it's supposed to be like around 90 for the rest of the week. We've been getting some weird heat. Usually the thing that's so amazing about living in the Bay Area, as I'm sure you probably know, is it's like 70 degrees all year long. You know, in the winter it's not too cold, and in the summer it's not too hot, and it's like perfect. So this is kind of an odd time of it being close to 90 a few days in the past few weeks, and no one of course has AC, so we're all just sweating it out in our houses.
Yeah, I know. September was the highest, I guess, the highest recorded temperatures, since recording. So, yeah, things are starting to get, warmer late. So it's kind of crazy to think that. And, I'm originally from Montana, and I know that they're probably expecting snow within the next couple of weeks. So it's like,
wow.
Yeah, we're kind of getting into fall and winter pretty quick up there. But here we're getting nice weather. I mean, it's nice walkable weather. We're getting up to the 90s maybe as a high, but at least it's cooling down a little. But anyway, be that as it may, I mean, San Francisco as a musical place, it's always a little bit different than what LA is, or where you could see New York is as well.
Totally.
In terms of the type of musicians we get, and also the venues we have, and kind of the crowd that we got. Tell me a little bit about that, about some of the things. Have you played down in LA, and kind of some of the differences that you may have seen?
Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot in both places. Obviously, being from the Bay Area, I've played probably more in the Bay Area than anywhere else. But the music scene is super interesting, I feel like, because you've got just so many different types of music, you know, and I think, you know, in the past, obviously, the Grateful Dead, you know, and Chris Isaak, Van Morrison, all were up here for a while. And I feel like there is this very specific type of, you know, loose grooved record that came out of this area for a while, which was awesome. And now I think, you know, the scene has transferred a bit more towards rap, and a lot of the kids that I went to high school with were rapping and doing stuff like that. And then, you know, there's a super defined rap movement up here as well. The thing that's kind of sad is that even since I've started playing, which, you know, I'm only 22 years old, and I think I started playing the venues when I was maybe, you know, 13 or 14. There's been so many venues that have closed down or have not made it. And I think, you know, that's been a little bit sad to see. And I know just from like talking to friends and stuff, like all of the places that used to exist that now don't, which is unfortunate. And I'm not really sure, you know, if that's just because people aren't going out to see live music as much around here as they used to be, or really what that's about. But like, you know, yeah, even just recently Slim's closed, which was a huge establishment in SF. And I had played there, and it's like, it's a little bit sad to see, because there are so many great musicians up here and so many amazing artists in general that I feel like are sort of losing places that they can play. But that being said, the places that are around now, Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco, you know, places like that, they've just been so good to me as an artist coming up and being younger, and, you know, giving, you know, me and so many others an insanely great venue to play and to just have a great time, and really, you know, when I was younger, learn the ropes of like what it's like to be on stage. So yeah, it's really amazing up here, as I think as it always has been. I think it will continue to be, but things definitely have changed a lot too. So
yeah, you know, I mean, it's crazy to think that there were so many venues that have closed down that were just so legendary. I mean,
yeah,
there were venues in New York that I think have closed down. CBGB's being the top one. I mean, that had so much history in there as well. And there's been quite a few clubs down in like Los Angeles, and then up in, of course, up in San Francisco. There are quite a few venues that are still going though, like in Austin and Nashville and all that as well. It's just, it's kind of an interesting, just the way that the scene has changed, and it'll change after what's going on now as well. And I mean, I'm worried about that. There's going to be a lot of smaller venues that do close because they can't get live entertainment, or you know, not shoot as many people. And I mean, that's something that we're going to have to work through come, you know, hopefully next year when things get, you know, kind of organized and all that as well. But you know, I think out here in Vegas in particular, you just see a lot more clubs than you do see venues, like rock venues.
Right.
There's a couple out here that are really, really great. But you know, mainly all the kids nowadays out here are going to the clubs, the big clubs. You know, I think that's part of the effect too. I think that there's been kind of a shift in terms of people wanting to go to a club and party at a club versus, you know, going to a rock joint, which you know, I've kind of miss. You know, I think there is some kind of charm in actually having a live band out there, and to be able
definitely
to, you know, to be able to do that. So I'm hoping that some of these venues stay around for a little while, you know, and maybe that'll shift back, because you know how things go. Things shift to one thing and then they may go back to another. So
absolutely.
And I think I really hope that we get to see more live bands like yourself out there on the road, hopefully coming to kind of help promote those albums. I know it's a little bit unusual right now. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, you know, you have an album that came out, you know, several singles that you just released from that as well. How's it been for you to kind of go out and promote some of these singles, and what's the fans' reaction that you've been getting from them off social media?
I mean, it's promoting them right now is totally not as I would have imagined, because my whole plan for the past, you know, 2.5 years working on this album was that I'm going to make this project and then I'm going to go tour a bunch. And obviously the touring thing is not happening. So that was definitely pretty nerve-wracking. Literally, one of the last days I was mixing the record, which is like one of the final processes of the record, I think a week later, the studio was closed, everyone was on lockdown. I was just going, oh my God. I had like all my gigs canceled, and it was super, super anxiety provoking for a minute, because I'm thinking like, man, like I just made this whole thing and I'm not going to be able to promote it. But realistically, I think we found really cool, creative ways to promote it, and some ways that are like even more, I think, directly influential and connecting to the fans than even playing a show. Whether that be, I've been doing like, these little Zoom calls with a few fans at a time, and I'll play them a few songs and we'll talk, and it's a totally different experience than being obviously on stage with a full band. But it's still fun, doing on various whether it be magazines or venues that I was supposed to tour at, on their Facebook pages, doing lives to their audience, doing a set. That all that stuff's been really fun and really interesting and real different. And as much as I wish, as much as I hope that shows are able to come back soon and I can get back on stage, because I really thrive in that environment. It has been fun to explore these other little sort of avenues, and even, do things like make a few music videos myself and stuff like that. I feel like it's real down and dirty for everyone right now. Like everyone's trying to figure out, how am I going to make this work? But that being said, what's been awesome is that at least with these singles, each one of them had gotten a better reaction than the last one. It just kept building up a little bit of steam with the fans, which is really, really cool for me to see, just having worked on these for so long. And now it's really feeling like, okay, maybe we figured it out even without shows. And it's like, they're really picking up steam, which is just really, really, really cool to see. And feels, I'm not someone who's very easily satisfied with my work or what I've done. And I'm always looking on to the next thing of how am I going to do it better. But I will say that it's been, a lot of very grateful moments recently where it feels like, the ball just keeps moving, and I look at that and I feel grateful for it, despite the circumstances. So yeah.
Something I never asked anybody, and I don't know why I've not asked it before, but looking at an album like this, and then trying to decide what goes out first, what single comes out first, what comes out second. What was the process for you to figure out what singles went out and the kind of the order that you wanted them to come out?
Yeah, what's funny, I was just talking to some other people about this today, actually. I think it's difficult for me because, number one, unlike I think a lot of artists out there, I'm the writer, the producer, the singer, I'm everything. I do all the work. So I've heard each song just so many times, by the time it's come out that I've lost a little bit of perspective potentially about which one people are going to like the most. And it's more about, which one I like the most at that point, or which one I haven't gotten tired of, or whatever it may be. But in the past, with these songs, it was really like, I would pick the ones that I thought would be the winners, or, I think they're all winners. I love them all, but the ones that I thought would be the best to sort of start the ball rolling and release to everyone. And then I would have, my manager and my PR and a bunch of my friends even just give me all their input, like, hey, pick 2 songs, because these are all people that have heard it before it came out. Pick 2 songs that you think everyone should hear first. Like, what are those 2 songs? And really with most of these singles, that was how I did it. It was sort of a net of all that feedback and looking at, okay, which ones are showing up the most and picking those. So that's how I ended up with, Red Delicious and Grace and Kiss Me and all that stuff. So at this point for me, since I'm still relatively independent artist and I don't have a label going, that's the one, release that one. That's how we've done it. And thankfully it feels like those instincts have been fairly good up to this point. Don't really, it's hard to tell before you do it, but so far it seems like it's worked out pretty well. So that's how we've done it.
These songs are like your children, you have to, it's like, like Sophie's Choice here. Which one do I like better? And it's tough to say that you like one better than the other because, these are your children. So it's kind of crazy to say the least.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, just you lose a little bit of perspective when you've heard it 1,000 times, potentially more. But and sometimes, I gotta say to myself, like, okay, maybe